Oh. Okay, so good morning, Rose, and anyone else, or good whatever time of day it is that you might be joining in to watch the recording later or participate. I'm Kathy, for those of you who may have not done one of my classes. And I've been thinking just these days with tough times and the extended requirements on our endurance and resilience and patience, all of the isolation that we're experiencing. Hi, Elaine. That in actual terms, we are in some way, if we're noticing, a little more connected through these technologies that we have, through a sense of it's so easy to tune into news that's on the other side of the globe, but just that awareness that we are in some way all sharing in a collective experience right now of uncertainty that continues. And of course, there's always uncertainty, but this particular time in our community, we can just be aware that others are experiencing some of the same feelings, fear and anxiety, or whatever it is. And so we have this sense of connection in that way. So perhaps using that as a way of entering connection with yourself, and I'll guide you through a little bit of meditation at the beginning and the end that will broaden the scope of that out to include all beings everywhere. So you don't need to have anything for your practice. It's an all levels flow class, and I want to encourage everybody to really modify for whatever's going on in your body today. So if you're feeling that you need something that's a higher energy, then you can adapt to that for yourself, speed things up a little bit, or maybe you change postures completely or take breaks, whatever it is. If you have things that you like to use during your practice, so if you use blocks, or if you have some pillows for more restful poses, that's great. You can bring all of that, a strap, but if you don't have anything, that's fine. So let's lie down and begin by positioning your body. And you could have some supports. You could have a pillow underneath your thighs or something underneath your head. I like to have this blanket down on my mat just for the hips and knees at some point. But as you position yourself on your back, do that in a way that is nurturing and taking a moment to settle the bones and just lay your body out as if it were something very precious, a treasure, a gift. Of course it is. All of the organs and the systems in the body, the cardiovascular system, the respiratory system, the digestive system, all of these that are operating mostly through the autonomic nervous system without our needing to direct, but these systems that we all share and that are affected by our mutual experience. So just letting all of that come into the awareness and settle. Let's start by feeling this body right here, this body that holds this mind, or this piece of the bigger mind, feeling connected with that. And perhaps if we've been working or sorting out a problem, lost in thoughts of chains of thoughts, then we may not be so connected to this body right now. So we can feel that, the structure, the support, feel the ground that is always there, supporting parts of the body that might come into the awareness, a feeling of weight through the back of the skull, the ground coming up to meet the shoulder blades, the bones in the upper back, the feeling of the pelvis, the back of the pelvis spreading out, and the heels or the soles of the feet, whatever parts of those lower legs are touching the ground. Letting your awareness come to rest in the face, in the oval of the face. And just whatever you might be feeling there, if there's any obvious expression or sensations of tightness or tension around the eyes or the forehead, these are ways of connecting with what's here now with this body without a big reaction or wishing that something were different. Just allowing this to be okay, to be here. Sensations that also might be present, sensations of the lungs moving. If you find it helpful to rest attention on the rhythm of your breath right now. For myself, I find it useful and a little less anxiety producing if I repeat the word in as the breath comes in, and the word out as the carbon dioxide leaves the body. Just a simple word in with the inhale, and out with the exhale. Or perhaps the breath is not something that you feel inclined to focus on today. And so you could have an anchor of sound or field of hearing, sounds in your space, in your room, in your environment. Or just resting the attention back into the body in whatever posture it happens to be in any given moment, just as a way of bringing the mind back to here and now. And maybe being a little more connected with this body right now, this mind experience. And it's okay for thoughts to be loud and clear, the mind just doing what it does. We can expand that bubble of awareness to include perhaps other living beings that are in your household. And that can include pets and plants, other family members, just moving out to connect with them, and just a sense of a wishing well, giving some well-being out to other beings, life force, creatures. Continuing to expand that bubble out to your community, your neighbors on the other side of the street or the street behind you. Or maybe some folks that you know that are in other parts of this town. Wherever you're at, whoever comes up to mind, just extending some well wishes and connection, and knowing that we all share in that basic desire just to be at ease, to be happy, to be free from suffering. As you continue to breathe in and out or tune back into the body, resting in the shape, expanding that bubble to even beyond this city, across the water, across the ocean, other continents, other beings, creatures, wildlife, beyond borders, across to all the edges of this planet, and even beyond the entire universe. Wishing well to all beings everywhere that are sharing in some way impacted by the experience of this pandemic right now. The other beings that are engaged in meditation and these practices of yoga, just trying to stay sane, good, and start to bring it back to your body here on this mat, and aware of the community that we have practicing together through the Boulevard Club. Rubbing the palms together, bringing some warmth into the hands and some heart rate, some vibration, some work into the arms. Resting the palms, just a cup over the eyes, connecting and transferring some of that warmth and energy through the eyes into the brain and around this more skillful area of thinking and planning. Coming out of the amygdala, that reptilian brain that is good when we need to be afraid, when we need to be ready to jump into action, but that we don't need to have on full charge all the time. Take a big stretch out. Inhale, reach the arms and legs away from each other and tighten all the muscles that you can find in the belly, dropping in the legs. Squeeze the glutes, the thighs, the shins, draw the toes towards the face. Make fists with the hands. Tighten all the muscles of the face. Bring everything into center. You might hold your breath or even find a hard time breathing here just for a moment. Exhale, just let it flop. And release, shake the legs a little bit, just wiggle. Let's let the legs float up towards the ceiling and jiggle and kick it off a little more. You can have the arms resting at the sides or let them shake also. Letting some of the blood flow come into the digestive organs and back to the heart. Wiggle the hips. You might feel some vibration in the whole body. Even the back of the head might be shaking a little bit as you just keep going here. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Big or small movements, doesn't matter. Shake it off. In through the nose and out through the mouth. You can make some sound one more time. Whatever it is, let it release. And then hug the knees in towards the chest. Squeeze. Just feel the effects of that as the breath settles back down. Let's rocking side to side across the lower back or over to one elbow and then the other elbow. Let the left
foot come to the floor. It can stay with the knee bent, or the leg can straighten out as you draw the right knee in towards your chest for a squeeze there. And then stretch the right heel up towards the ceiling. Cradle the back of the hamstring with your hands, or you can use a supportive strap. And if you need to rebend the left leg, go ahead and do that. Let's circle around a few times in the ankle and just get into the sensation, stretching between the toes, the ankle, the back of the leg. And then hug that thigh a little closer. And then press out through the heel, reach it up to the ceiling. And then draw it in a little bit. You could have a deeper bend at the knee. That helps to keep the tailbone long. And then press that heel back again and feel the hamstring moving into your hands or strap. One more time, draw it in. And then reach it up. And then bend the left leg if it's not. Cross the right ankle above the left knee and use your hands to just massage in a little bit. Feel for the hip bones themselves and then the crease there between the thighs and the hip flexors, and a little bit of squeeze or hug. Let the arms open away from the body in an A-frame or a T shape. And slowly start to drop your knees over towards the left. So just let the knees fall to the left. Your right foot or part of it might come to the floor. It might not. Doesn't matter. Your right hip is going to be quite lifted here. Just taking a few breaths, feeling into the sensations on that side. If you feel any pain in the knee, then more strongly flex through the right ankle or bring it back up. Feeling in the right side of the lungs for another breath in. And exhale, bring the leg back up, and for a moment, drop it over towards the right. So you come to the big toe edge of the left foot, exposing the bottom of the left foot, and just feeling a different stretch now in the outer left hip. Just let the shoulders be heavy down there, and take another breath in and out. Bring the left knee back up to center now. Feel for level across the back of the hips again. Taking a few more breaths in the figure 4 shape here, wrapping the outer right hip away from center, or go ahead and thread the needle and see if you can leave your tailbone long down on the mat. Let's take 2 more breath cycles. If you have a practice of Ujjayi ocean wave breath, then feeling that sinus or breath at the back, throat sensation. And release that leg and bring your right knee in towards the chest. One more time, straighten out the left leg. Stretch your right arm away from your shoulder and use your left hand on the outer right thigh to guide that right knee over to the left into a twist. Keep your right shoulder down for this one, so you may not come too far. And see what it feels like to look out over your right shoulder for 3 breath cycles here. Crawling the right fingers away for 2. And 1. Keep your right knee tracking to the left. In fact, come all the way over to the left side so that you will be lifting up the right arm and bringing it over to meet the left. You tuck under a little bit the left shoulder. Your right shin can be on the floor in front of you there with the knee in front of the hip, or you could bring both knees over. So we can stretch the arms almost like we roll towards the tummy. We're stretching the right arm a little further ahead of the left. You could have a blanket or pillow under your head if you want. Not necessary though. And then open up the right arm, coming back a little bit to broaden the collarbones. Exhale, bring the palms back towards each other as if you're rolling to your tummy, tip of the nose to the floor. Reach a little further with the right fingers, and then open up on the breath, coming in, stretching the right arm up or away. Exhale back towards tip of the nose to the floor. And then go ahead and trace some circles or just different shapes with that right arm. just to your range of movement. So you can pause anywhere along the way or don't go so far. Change the shape of that arm. Change the direction. You can take it down towards the hip and just explore in this right shoulder on this side, how it's feeling in your body. Let's just open up one more time. Let your left hand rest on your right thigh and bring it back a little more so your right shoulder can settle down. And so that left knee will probably be lifted up, or you might have your knees just together for another breath in across the collarbones. Exhale, walk the feet and knees back to center. Level the hips there. Have your feet on the floor with your knees bent and walk the fingertips down towards the heels. Let's just smooth out with a little bit of rocking through the pelvis. And you might feel the pelvis with your hands as you start to tip the tailbone to the ceiling without lifting the hips. And then rock the tailbone towards the floor as you breathe in. Heavy the low back to the floor. Peel the tailbone up, hips stay heavy. And then inhale, tailbone towards the floor. Palms at the sides this time. Exhale, press down the low back and then lift the hips. And just stay up there, exhale. As you inhale, let's come high up on the heels so you're more on the balls of your feet and take another exhale there. One more time, breathe in to expand the chest. And then exhale with the heels lifted, lower down the upper back, a little bit of hamstring work, and then the mid back, and then the lower back, and bring it all the way down for a breath in. And hug both knees in towards the chest, exhale. Uttanasana, let the knees fall away, hands can support the knees, and then exhale, hug the knees in. Knees fall away, breathing in. And exhale, squeeze the knees in, keep them there. One more inhale. And stretch the right leg out long this time, second side. So hug the left thigh in towards the chest, give it a squeeze. Your right leg can be long and active, or you can go ahead and just bend the right knee again. So the tailbone can stay long and back supported, reaching the left heel to the ceiling. Hands or straps somewhere around the left hamstring. And circle a few times in that ankle, letting the attention rest in the sensations that we're all sharing in, that may not be the same, but some aspect of the experience that we're all a part of here across the airwaves, including distraction, moods and emotions. Press up through that heel. And then draw the toes a little closer towards the face. So you may bend the knee and then stretch out through that heel again. Draw the toes a little closer towards the face. You can bend the knee, keep the tailbone long, and then press the heel up again. Inhale one more time, toes towards the face. Inhale, lengthen there. Exhale, if the right leg was straightened out, then bend it now. And we'll cross the left ankle above the right knee. Hip flexor psoas, find a little space there. Massage the upper thighs, quads, whatever you can reach to, or thumbs in the hip crease, kind of a ropey area. Feel for level through the back of the hips. Hips a little rocking. And then we'll just drop the knees over towards the right. So your seat will kind of swing a little bit. You'll come out of any sort of symmetry. And maybe that your left foot reaches the floor, doesn't really matter. Just feeling the outer left hip psoas area, get a stretch. Using your hands, if you like, to keep on with some massage, pressing the right hand into the left thigh for another breath. And then bring the legs back up to center. Level the hips again and Then drop the knees over towards the left. So come to the big toe edge of the right foot. So the sole of that right foot is exposed, feeling some temperature or breeze there. You know, have your arms for support in an A frame and the shoulders heavy for another in and out. Draw the belly in to lift the knees back up. Find symmetry across the back of the hips again and either work the figure four just here to open up the left outer hip, external rotation there, or draw the right knee in to thread the needle, hands or strap, tailbone extending away from the crown of the head, opening up the channels of communication along the spine, between the brain and the rest of the body for one more breath in and out. Lower the right foot if it was lifted. Let's hug the left knee in towards the chest again and let the right leg lengthen out for a moment. Right hand to the outer left thigh, left arm stretching away from the shoulder. Start to lift the left hip up with the support of the right hand to bring the right knee towards the left, only so far as the left knee to the right. Left shoulder stays heavy. Crawl the left fingers away. So it's likely your right knee is floating in space quite a ways. Or you can bend both knees. For another inhale on this side. And then shifting so that the entire body is on the right side. And it might just be the left shin coming to the floor. Tuck your right shoulder under and set yourself up so the palms can be working towards each other. You can put something underneath your head if you like, or if the head can just rest on the ground if that feels okay. Reach the left fingers forward, almost like you're going to come onto your tummy. Tip of the nose might touch the floor. And then open up the left arm, waving back to palms coming towards each other, and reach a little further. Crawl the right or the left fingers ahead of the right hand. And then open it up. So your left shoulder won't be coming down this time. We're just getting this wringing out feeling and some stretch across the collarbones as you go through that. And you can start to create some other shapes with that top arm, stretching into a big full circle. The arm can bend and straighten as that feels appropriate. Right now, changing directions. Just exploring this shoulder, this whole left side. Let's come to rest in an open expression here. So you might back a little away and have your left knee floating again with the support of your right hand resting there as your left shoulder comes down, and now maybe you're looking over the left shoulder if that is agreeable for the neck. For another breath in and breath out. Good. Coming on to the back. Having the knees bent there again for a moment, just to feel in the hips as things settle again, if there's any more symmetry. And then let's walk the hands one more time down towards the heels and rock forward and back across the pelvis, those pelvic tilts. Let's press into the low back and exhale. And then lift the hips on the inhale. And stay on the exhale, just undulating the spine a little bit. Pressing the backs of the arms, the hips lift a little bit. And then exhale, the hips drop just a little bit. Press into the feet, lengthen through the inner thighs and stay at the top to inhale, pause. Exhale, high on the heels, so more into the balls of the feet for the last inhale. And then upper back comes down. See if you can keep the heels lifted. Roll it all the way down, exhale. Heels lower at the bottom for a breath in and out. Knee squeeze, exhale. Either roll to one side and pause or rock forward and back along the spine as we're coming up to hands and knees. Good, and then flip over to the hands and knees. So if you're someone that likes to be higher with your hands, you can use blocks if you have those, or you can use books. You can also just be on fists rather than palms or fingertips to give yourself a bit more height, and that helps my wrists. And so once you're in a tabletop shape, let's start to bring some movements in to swish the torso from side to side. Let's walk the knees a little back of the hips and drop the hips over to one side. So kind of exaggerating here, and then come up through a bit of cat or a flexion, and then drop the hips over to the other side. Inhale. You could also be on your forearms for this. Clasping your hands might feel nicer. Shifting, just letting the head drop. So just explore how this movement can feel okay for you. Picking up on one side and then going over to the other side. And then let's just come back into more of a neutral tabletop now. And let the shoulder blades move together to start to initiate extension and a cow shape. And then exhale, let the shoulder blades move apart. So starting with the upper body, puffing up at the back of the heart and letting the head go. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, inhale. And then exhale to peel the belly up and into a cat. And you might start to just embellish or make those movements bigger if you like, bringing the hips back more towards a child's pose. And then shifting the shoulders forward. Just exploring the movements of your spine. Let's walk the hands a little further forward and cross at the ankles. Let the hips dip so the elbows can bend, and it's a little more of a upward facing dog shape. And then come back towards the heels. So if you've got your ankles crossed, just notice which one is crossed and sit back towards the heels. So this could be a stretch for your Achilles tendon or the calf on that side, whichever it is. Let's come up onto the fingertips to stretch the backs of the wrists for 3. Little press of the digestive organs for 2 against the thighs. And 1, shift forward again. Uncross the legs and cross them the other way as you tip a little forward, letting the soles of the feet lift up and the elbows bend. And then exhale, peel the belly back and come all the way back into that child's pose, keeping the ankles crossed if you can. Might find some tenderness there. So nice stretch for that ropey group of muscles. Coming to the fingertips if that feels nice for your wrists for 3, 2, and 1. Shift it back through. Let's bring the forearms to the floor now and clasp the hands together and find another cow shape. It's a little more in the upper back in this elbow forearm position, and then lift the heart up, let the tailbone drop and look back towards the knees. Inhale, squeeze the shoulder blades together, just look towards the hands. And then exhale, peeling up the ribs. Once more, inhale, energetically drawing the elbows back, even though they're not moving. And then exhale, stay in this cat shape, looking back towards your knees. And curl the right toes under, and then the left toes under, so that you're in a plank pose. Press back through the heels. And then if you can, look forward. If that's too much for the neck, then just keep the head dropping down. Shift the weight a little forward, move higher on the tiptoes, and then press back through the heels. Staying engaged in the core as you shift forward again, inhale. And exhale, press back through the heels. We'll come forward last time, inhale. And tap the knees down, exhale, and then the thighs. Stretch the tops of the feet out and wiggle the elbows forward. You can keep the hands comfortably clasped or take them so that they're shoulder width apart. So we're in a sphinx or a cobra shape. If this feels like it's too high, if you have pinching in your lower back, then you can come down or you can walk the elbows further forward. It's just going to be a different sensation. Lots of options here. You could take hold of opposite elbows. If it's too much, again, just walk elbows forward. You can even rest your forehead down. It's still a back bend. Lengthen long through both legs. You might pick them up a little bit, kind of swim them out and press the toenails to the floor. Last 2 breaths here. And lower on the exhale. Let's take the hands wide and off your mat. Let the forehead just come to the floor. Lift the elbows. Bring the big toes together and draw the belly in, and then energetically pull the ground back as you come into a gecko, baby cobra shape. And we'll do 3 of those. Lower on an exhale. Pull the ground back. Lengthen out of the waist on the inhale. Exhale, attending to your body in terms of the length or the height that feels right this morning. Inhale and exhale, lower. Let's reach the arms back this time. Just let the palms be towards the thighs and turn your head in one direction and pause. Just give your hips a little shake. And then loop the shoulders, bring your forehead back to level with the floor. Reach towards the feet with your hands and float the legs a little bit. Roll the inner thighs towards the ceiling. So it's mostly a lengthening here. And then roll a marble forward to bring your gaze just ahead of your nose, reaching the arms back in this arrow shape or Shalabhasana. Inhale. Exhale, float back down, let it all go. Turn your head in the opposite direction. Just let your shoulders shrug around your ears. So balancing out the nervous system from action to rest. Fully present in whichever side you're in. Bring the forehead or the chin back to the floor. Loop the shoulders. Once again, reach the arms back. This time, let's flip the palms to the ceiling. And then start to float the legs again. Roll that marble forward. You can lengthen the arms back and lift the palms a little higher to whatever's available, or draw the thumbs a little closer towards your back or above your seat. Don't try to clasp your hands together here. This is actually more work in between the shoulder blades. Those muscles under the scapula. Inhale. Exhale, release, press the palms to the low ribs and take it up and back through table. And then into a child's pose, experiencing the counter pose. You can have your knees apart or your knees together. Resting your forehead between your thumbs. You can have your hands clasped like that or just stretch the arms forward. Allowing the breath to just move into the back body and fill into those areas that were in extension. Now we're back in flexion. And let's shift forward to tabletop. Curl the toes under and sit back towards the heels, stretching out the bottoms of the feet. You can have your hands stay on the floor or come up to sit back on your heels. If you're sitting back on your heels, then let's just do a few shoulder loops. You could also take the higher standing kneeling if it gets to be too much. Being open to being with sensations of discomfort in this physical way, but that are also therapeutic. And when, of course, when we need to come out, we
We come out, we don't judge that. Or we come in and out, so we can stand up a little higher and then bring it back down. And one more breath in. And breath out there. Let's flip the feet now so that the bottoms of the feet are down again, sitting back towards the heels. You can take the knees a little wider apart. You might support yourself. You might be leaning forward. We're just stretching the tops of the ankles. Or loop the shoulders and bring the fingertips behind the back and lean back a little bit, lifting one knee. Just depends on your bone structure and whatever it is today. The other knee or both knees. And then shift it back through. Let's take it to hands and knees again. Press into the palms. Curl the toes under. And just hover the knees for 3, 2, and 1. Press the hips up and back and take it into downward dog to just stretch out the whole back body, pressing into the palms and just stepping through a few times, exaggerating, bending one knee and letting the other heel drop. So as the knee bends, the heel on that leg lifts and the opposite heel drops a little bit, swinging the hips over to the bent knee side. And then just switching that. And then come back through center there. And walk the hands back towards the feet. And just take a fold over the legs. You can bend the knees, still tight hamstrings, let the head be heavy, tuck the chin in towards the chest, the arms might dangle or take hold of opposite elbows for 3, 2, and 1. Let's drop more weight in towards the heels and we'll do a slow ragdoll, reverse ragdoll roll up, dropping the tailbone. And shake out the arms. Split the fingers a little bit as you come up. And do a few shoulder loops at the top. Let's do some half sun salutations, reaching the arms up on the inhale. And fold over the legs as you exhale. Come up halfway, the breath is coming in. And exhale to fold. And then press into the feet and come all the way up, inhale. Just hook the thumbs together, get there and get nice and tall. And then exhale up and over towards the right. Inhale, center. And exhale it to the left. And then inhale through center there and take it into a cactus shape. So bend the knees a little bit, just so you can take the arch out of the lower back, knit the ribs down, cactus shapes, feeling something interesting in the upper back. If it's available to you, to take the hands behind the back of the skull and just lift that up a little bit. You might lift your gaze as well, keeping that lower part of the spine in neutral. And straighten out your legs here, breathing in. And then release the arms again for another swan dive over the legs. Exhale. Let's bend the knees and walk it forward to a plank pose. Coming into either traditional plank pose, or you can come back to the forearm plank pose and shifting the weight forward and back, forward and back. We'll tap the knees down to exhale and lower with the elbows narrow. Stretching the legs long and then taking a cobra pose. So the fingertips in line with the shoulders is the traditional cobra or the gecko shape, any upper back bend. Exhale to lower and slide the hands back and we'll come through table again. Just pause in table for a breath. And then exhale, curl the toes under and hover the knees. Press the hips up high on the inhale. And stay for the exhale. You could have a deep bend at the knees, can help to lengthen the spine. Tipping the seat up a little bit more and staying with containment in the belly.
Hamstrings moving to the wall behind for another breath in. And then exhale, tippy toe towards the front of your mat. Come up halfway, inhale. And fold on the exhale. And press into the feet, come all the way up, breathing in. Hook the thumbs the opposite way to exhale and take it up and over to the left. Inhale, center, we're in our flow, and exhale to the right, pressing the left foot. Inhale, center, not how it looks, but just embodying each pose, the cactus arms, a little bend at the knees. Staying there, or taking the hands behind the skull again and reaching the elbows away, just looking up with the gaze. Straighten the legs as you fly the arms out. Inhale, fold. Halfway lengthen. And then exhale, bend the knees, fingertips to floor or blocks, and step the right leg back into a long, low lunge. Just breathing in there. And exhale, tap the right knee down. Crescent lunge on the inhale. And then exhale to stay. Any position with the arms if you prefer the cactus. Or hands can come to prayer. A little more, we are sending a lot of blood away from the heart when our arms are lifted. So maybe you need a little more of that connection to self with the hands in for one more breath. Exhale here, bring the fingertips to the floor and start to shift the right shin over towards the left. Walking the hands over towards the right on a diagonal towards the top right corner of your mat, and then just letting the crown of the head track towards the hands. So hug the left hip into center, getting into those glute muscles on this side for one more inhale. And exhale, back to hands on either side of the front foot and square up the hips, coming off of the back knee again. Bring some weight into the right hand and draw the left hip crease back with your left hand. Right fingers can spin out a little bit. Left toes can spin out a little bit, and your right knee can be lifted or it can be on the floor as you look over your left shoulder. One more inhale. Exhale back to center, bringing things to neutral again. Some weight in the hands, and we'll step into plank pose. Shifting the weight forward and tapping the knees down. Exhale. Let's lower all the way down. Choosing your back bend, cobra or upward facing dog. Kneecaps lift. Exhale, release. Palms press to low ribs through table. Curl the toes under, downward facing dog for 3. Or child's pose. Just pressing the inner palms if you're in downward facing dog, serving your energy of a nutritious meal. One more inhale. High on tiptoes. And all the way to the front, however it is that you get there, walking or skipping. Lengthen halfway. Fold, exhale. And press into the feet. Come all the way up. Inhale. Let's dive over the legs again. Second side, exhale. Halfway lengthen, breathing in. And bend the knees, exhale. Let's have the left leg step back now for the low lunge. Stretching out through the left heel. Letting the hips sink a little bit, but countering that with the drawing in of the ribs for another breath there. Exhale to tap the back knee down. Crescent lunge on this side, reaching the arms up. Inhale. And exhale there. So settle your arm posture, cactus. You can clasp your hands behind your back. Just co-create. One more breath. Exhale, bringing the hands down on either side of the front foot and wagging the left shin. So a kickstand right off your mat. And wiggle your right heel a little closer to your to being in line with the left knee, and then walk the hands over towards the top left corner of your mat. Actively hugging the right hip into center as you traction the crown of the head towards your thumbs. Breathing in and breathing out. Hands walk back on either side of front foot. Unkickstand that back leg, bringing the legs, hips distance apart and lifting up back knee. Fingertips, fists, or palms. Lean the weight a little forward. We'll step again to plank. Moving through the vinyasa, or you can take a break. Knees tap down, elbows narrow, lowering in one piece. Inhale for cobra. Exhale, release. Palms press up and back to child's pose or downward dog for 3, 2, and 1. High on the tiptoes to travel to the front. Halfway lengthen. Exhale, fold. And you might give your wrists a break here. If you want to bend your knees a lot and slide your hands right underneath your feet, right up to your wrist creases with your toes. Tuck the chin in. Otherwise, just letting the arms dangle, but making a fist with your hands towards your fingers towards your wrist creases. Just getting a stretch out there for another inhale. And exhale. Let's roll up again, ragdoll, just taking as many breaths as you like. Loop the shoulders at the top, inhale. And exhale, take a big step out to one side, just so that your feet are, excuse me, parallel with each other. Let's turn the right toes out and line up the right heel with the left arch or the left heel. Take a pretty long stride and reach the left arm back. As you reach the left arm back, bend through the right knee. Engage the muscles of your right glutes to keep the knee, the inner thigh on that right leg really nice and long. And feel the whole left foot pressing to the floor. And go ahead and reach the right arm forward and flip the palms up towards the ceiling. And then flip them back down, exhale. Looking out over your right hand in and out. One more time, flip them up. Keep the right palm facing up and bring the left hand down to the left thigh. Staying with the bend in the front knee to reach the right arm just straight up to Exalt Warrior. Filling in the right side of the lungs. Good, one more breath. Straightening the right leg. And then maybe a little side bend in reverse Trikonasana. Level the shoulders, inhale. So Trikonasana, reaching the right arm forward. And then just a windmill down without folding or coming too far down. You can always come down further if you have that. Try not to be leaning in at all. So almost an upper back bend here. Containment, some cat in the lower abdomen for 3. You can look down if that feels better for the neck for 2. And 1, lift up, parallel the arms and then the feet. Let's bring the hands to the hips for a moment, pause for a breath. And then pivot the left toes. So if you need a longer stance, if that allows you to have the appropriate bend in the left knee, you can be looking around your space for how things feel organized, and then reach the right arm back. And then the left arm forward. Feel the whole right foot pressing to the floor. The right toes are a wee bit forward. And then look at the left palm. And then let's make that little fist again. Just to stretch out the back of the wrist for 3, 2,
And one left palm flips open, right hand comes down, reverse or exalt warrior. So it's more of just a straight lift up. You don't have to put a side bend into this. For another inhale. Exhale, straighten the front leg. Keep reaching up or go ahead for that side stretch. Then through Trikonasana, reaching arms away and forward over the left thigh. Dropping the left hand down and right arm reaches up, or it can just rest at your hip or around to the lower back. Sometimes I like to take the right hand and just tuck it right into the left hip crease. Setting your gaze to face the side or down for balance. Or up. Woo! Last breath. Inhale to come up. Exhale, parallel the feet. Turn the toes out now, so come to a little bit of a narrower stance. So you can drop it right into a squat and let it go. Let your head be held by your shoulders here. Shift side to side. Left shoulder dropping, looking to the right. And center, and then switch. And then come back to center. We're going to come down into a lower squat. So however you'd like to get there, you can bring your hands to the ground, wiggle the feet in a little more, walk it out a bit, or just come and plunk down on your seat or onto a cushion. And we'll make it down to the ground. And just stretch the legs out long for a moment and give them a bounce out. Lean back. Take the feet wide and drop the knees all the way over to the left, pressing into the right shin and lifting up the right hip. Knees come back up and switching over second side. Pressing into the left shin. And then come back to center. Bring the soles of the feet together. Walk the fingertips in. You can adjust to be closer or further back. Just pressing the feet together, keeping the spine supported with your hands, or wrapping your hands around the shins or the ankles. Keeping some of that dignity through the chest for 3, 2, 1. We'll use our hands to bring the knees back together and just give a squeeze. Give a seated child's pose. Job well done. Either rolling onto the back to rest, or if you prefer to stay in a seated meditation posture for the last couple of minutes. If you have extra time and you're planning to stay longer and want to bring in blankets and pillows and all the other toys to give the body a longer time of ease. Otherwise, just taking a shape without thinking too much about it, just coming to a place of ease and rest. And as we start into 2 minutes, 2 minutes of silence, I'll bring us into that with the sound of a bell, and you can just take in the vibration for however long it lasts, or for however long your attention can rest on that. And the same sound will bring us out. Enjoy your rest. Stretching the body out, letting go of any effort. Just coming back to the idea of our collective experience, connection, extending wishes of well-being towards this body, this mind. And then expanding the awareness and those wishes to move beyond our own personal mat and spaces throughout our household, all living beings, beyond our own walls to our neighborhood, our communities, each other here at the Boulevard Club, friends, family across the globe, all in some way sharing, impacted by this experience. Ultimately, extending that compassion and wishes for well-being to all creatures everywhere. Life force energy, even beyond the planet, universe. Just bringing the awareness back to this body here right now. Just like a speck, so maybe not as big in the importance of all the big picture. In a moment, you'll hear the sound of the bell. If you're resting on your back and you'd like to stay, please do. Otherwise, rolling to one side to come up, or if you're already up, then just stay. Taking a moment here to bring the hands to the lap or into the heart center, the chin dropping in towards the chest, just to pause. Our traditional closing of a yoga practice is to extend the word namaste towards each other. In translation, many translations, but the light in me bows to the light in each of you. Namaste. Thanks so much for joining. Have a great day, Tanya and Elaine. Anybody else that was seeing this later?
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Kathy. Thank you.